Today, we're going to talk about a single, really harrowing day that forever changed a city and became this huge turning point in a nation's fight for freedom. We're talking about the Jallianwala Bagh massacre.
It's a pretty chilling question, isn't it? And it's the question right at the very heart of this story. To find the answer, we have to go back in time to a specific garden on a day that started out as a celebration.
Okay, so to really get what happened, to feel the weight of this tragedy, we first need to understand the peace that came just before it.
So I want you to picture this. The year is 1919. The place is Amritsar. It's a major city in the Punjab region of what was then British India. Now, this is a place with deep cultural and religious meaning, but you have to know tensions were running really high at the time.
It's April 13th, and thousands of people, we're talking men, women, and kids, are gathered in this public garden called Jallianwala Bagh. Now, they were there for two main reasons. For a lot of them, it was about celebrating Baisakhi, which is this big, vibrant harvest festival. But at the same time, it was also a peaceful protest against a new British law, the Rowlatt Act, which was super unpopular because it let the British imprison anyone they wanted without a trial.
And this is the exact moment the entire day pivots from celebration to just total catastrophe. This is when everything changed in a flash.
Into this crowded, festive garden marches General Reginald Dyer with his soldiers. Now, in his mind, this gathering wasn't a festival or a protest. Nope. He saw it as a direct challenge to British authority. So, without any warning, his troops blocked the main entrance, trapping thousands of unsuspecting people inside.
Think about that for a second. There was no order to leave, no warning shot fired into the air, just a cold, brutal command to open fire directly into the dense, unarmed crowd. You know, Dyer even admitted later that his goal was to create a moral effect, basically to terrorize any Indian who might even think about defying the British Empire. What happened next was just sheer terror, and it was made so much worse by the way the garden was built, which, tragically, left people with absolutely no way to escape.
The garden instantly became a death trap. I mean, it was surrounded by high walls, and the few narrow exits it had were now completely blocked by soldiers. As bullets started raining down, you can just imagine the panic. People scrambled, desperate for cover, but there was none. In their desperation, many people jumped into a large well inside the garden just to escape the gunfire, only to tragically drown.
For 10 minutes. The firing went on relentlessly for about 10 solid minutes until the soldiers had basically run out of ammunition. And when it finally stopped, hundreds of men, women, and children were dead. Over 1,000 more were injured. And to make this horror even worse, Dyer then imposed a curfew on the entire city, which meant no one could get in to help the wounded, who were just left there in the garden all night.
You would think an act of violence this horrific would break a nation's spirit, but what happened was the exact opposite. It actually ignited it. This massacre became a powerful, unifying rallying cry for the independence movement. As news of what happened in Amritsar spread, a wave of shock and just absolute horror washed over India and really the world. The sheer brutality of it shattered any faith people might have had left in British justice. Suddenly, the fight for freedom became way more fierce. It went from a movement that just wanted reforms to a full-blown demand for complete independence. And for leaders like Mahatma Gandhi, it erased any doubt that independence was the only way forward. So here we are, more than a century later, and the memory of Jallianwala Bagh is still so powerful. But what's the lesson? What are we supposed to take away from this garden of tragedy?
When you boil it all down, the moral of the story is both simple and incredibly profound. This event is a permanent, painful reminder of just how precious our freedom is, and it shows us why it's so important to stand up and speak out against injustice wherever we see it.
And that really leaves us with one final thing to think about. The echo from that day in Amritsar is still out there, reminding us that the struggle against injustice never really ends. So the question for all of us is this: what does it mean, in our own time, in our own lives, to truly stand against injustice today?